The galaxy was now in a deadlock. After the New Republic narrowly stopped the new Imperial Grand Admiral Thrawn at Sluis Van, the stalemate seemed to continue. Yet as the Republic became paralysed in its own internal turmoil, the Grand Admiral immediately took the initiative. Welcome to the Wizards and Warriors channel, where we're glad to have you with us on this next episode in the Star Wars universe. As is our custom, we invite you to get comfortable and maybe invite your fellow intergalactic buddies as we tell the next tale of Thrawn, his hunt for the lost Katana fleet, and his campaign against the New Republic. Brought to you by a different kind of campaign, a discount campaign for the 2023 birthday sale at this video's sponsor, Gate to Adventure. This is your adventure terminal to access the world of digital entertainment. They provide instant and, more importantly, cheap access to products from across the world of digital media. Connect to amazing deals on games, get collections of random Steam keys for a surprise, get new tools for your PC with Microsoft and Adobe software deals, get subscription time on online entertainment services like Netflix or Apple TV, or get gift cards for Amazon, the PSN or Steam stores, and way more. And as you might have noticed, all these things are coming in at below the usual retail prices. But it's not just entertainment. Get discounts on e-learning courses in loads of topics: programming, fitness, animation, marketing. There's plenty more, so go see what skills the Adventure Terminal has for you. For customers in the US, there's even more reason to check the sale out, because from the 9th of October, they're running a giveaway of high-end gaming laptops and a year of free games. It doesn't get much cheaper than that. Check out the Gate to Adventure sale at g2a.com/bday, link in the description. Though his planned capture of the Republic's ships had been a failure, Thrawn knew that the Republic would not be able to counter. Not only had the ships been disabled in the encounter, but the Grand Admiral had another plan playing out at the same time. The Republic was still searching for the information leak that Thrawn had made apparent to them. Soon they came to the conclusion that the culprit must not be a spy, but a traitor, putting anyone and everyone in Republic command under suspicion, just as Thrawn intended. Having created an atmosphere of paranoia in his enemy's ranks, Thrawn sent Imperial intelligence to break into the central bank on Coruscant and move some of the funds to the account of the Supreme Commander of the Republic fleet, Admiral Gael Ackbar. This had its desired effect, for Ackbar was now put under suspicion, leading his political rival, Councillor Borsk Fey'llah, to convince the government to remove him and place him under house arrest. Fey'llah would replace Ackbar as Supreme Commander, causing a great divide in the New Republic defense fleet. With the Republic fleet deprived of their most formidable commander, who had been replaced by someone interested only in acquiring political capital, Thrawn had his fleet continue the fade and attack strategy to further solidify his advantage, forcing the remaining Republic border fleets to add more ships to escort convoys travelling through the region, unable to afford to lose the already wavering loyalty of the systems lest they lose face. Thrawn's strategy to place Fey'llah in power bore fruit when a recent raid on Sarka demonstrated that the Republic was now using its ships in an ineffective manner. With the front under his control, Thrawn departed to deal with internal issues, namely the smugglers under Talon Karrde, who by now it was apparent had withheld Skywalker from the Grand Admiral, and even helped him and his friends escape from Myrkr. Thrawn was unable to get his hands on Karrde, who escaped through the intervention of his ally Mara Jade. Having failed to catch the smuggler, Thrawn placed a bounty on his head before moving to his next issue, the loyalty of the Noghri. The Noghri had repeatedly failed to apprehend Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker, and following yet another failed mission on Kashyyyk just prior to Sluis Van, Thrawn's patience with them had been expended. Nevertheless, he gave them one final chance. Meanwhile, Pellaeon had the Imperial Council offer a buyout of any ship brought to him over 100,000 tons at 20% over the buy price, which started to yield ships for Thrawn's fleet, albeit none greater than a Star Galleon. The rebels, meanwhile, were still impotent in their response to Thrawn's attacks, for they were still reeling from the arrest of Admiral Ackbar and the virulent infighting between his and Fey'llah's factions, who deadlocked each other on every issue. All the while, the unofficial elites of the Republic, Skywalker, Solo, Calrissian and Leia, were left to deal with their own issues. The first three were tasked with locating Delta Source so as to clear Ackbar's name, whilst Leia herself decided to deal with the Noghri problem that had continued to plague her every move. Things took an unexpected turn when one of the Noghri assassins, Kabarek, recognized her blood scent and proclaimed her Malariush, or Daughter of the Saviour, as he knew she was the daughter of Lord Vader, whom the Noghri worshipped as their master prior to his successor Thrawn. Armed with this, she and Chewbacca left with the Noghri to his home planet of Honoghr, on an unexpected collision course with Thrawn himself. Though Thrawn had chastised the Noghri and launched an investigation on the newly returned Kabarek, whom he thought dead, his stay was soon cut short by other matters, for the Millennium Falcon had been spotted at Endor, leading him to believe that the rebels were seeking the Emperor's storehouse. Meanwhile, Skywalker, Calrissian and Solo had no luck finding a tip on Delta Source. Having believed that Fey'llah or his supporters were behind its obscuring, they went to New Cov and began investigating. There they were attacked by Captain Dorja aboard the Relentless, but were saved by the timely arrival of rebel forces. Afterwards they split up, with Luke departing to Jormark to meet the mysterious Jedi Master, leaving the rest in Solo's hands. Solo soon met up with their unexpected savior, who turned out to be one of the founders of the rebellion, Garm Bel Iblis. While Solo was trying to re-enlist the help of Iblis, who had abandoned the cause after a falling out with Mon Mothma, Lando identified Iblis's capital ships to be part of the famous Lost Katana fleet, due to the Dreadnought class's distinctive dark color pattern that had earned them the nickname Dark Force. Katana Fleet was a fleet of over 200 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers built before the Clone Wars. They were revolutionary in that they could be controlled with a minimal crew due to their mechanical circuitry, dubbed slave-rigged. The fleet was lost when a hive virus spread through it that caused the crews to go insane and die, but not before they jumped to unknown coordinates. Calrissian and Solo knew very well the advantage these ships would give them, for although they couldn't stand up to modern Mon Cala cruisers or Star Destroyers, having nearly 200 sturdy heavy cruisers would be a deadly boon to the side that had them. Farther away, things were developing in tandem with this, for Thrawn had not only discovered and captured the Millennium Falcon, but had also captured Mara Jade, Karrde's second-in-command, who intentionally came to him demanding an audience on the basis she was previously the Emperor's hand. Thrawn's plan of letting the bounty hunters deal with Karrde was ultimately more successful than the bounty placed on Skywalker, as Karrde and Mara were harassed constantly, enough so that she decided to go directly to Thrawn with an offer. He would lift the bounty on her head. In exchange, she would give him the location of the Lost Katana fleet, as Karrde knew of its location. Thrawn was actually already in the process of locating the fleet, so this offer on his doorstep would not be passed up, and he accepted Mara's deal, letting her depart to negotiate with Karrde. Mara soon arrived at their new base, and was about to talk to Karrde when Imperial stormtroopers arrived on the scene, storming the hideout and capturing Karrde and a number of other members of his ring. Thrawn had doubted that Karrde would give him the location, and he was correct to suspect this, for Karrde had started to show his Republican sympathies prior. Mara confronted the Grand Admiral, enraged at the casual betrayal of his deal, but Thrawn remained calm, even offering her a role as the commander of one of the Katana dreadnoughts. Moreover, he released Karrde upon acquiring the fleet. Mara agreed to Thrawn's offer as a ruse, but soon escaped the fleet, intent on releasing Karrde. She made her way to Jormark, hoping to enlist Skywalker's help. Although Mara disliked the Jedi, she knew he could be relied upon due to their prior experience on Mikir. She found him being trained by C'baoth, his mind clouded due to the Dark Jedi's power. Having anticipated this, Mara brought a Ysalamiri, which broke C'baoth's hold over Skywalker. A brief fight with the Dark Jedi ensued, after which Luke and Mara were able to escape safely. They successfully infiltrated the Chimera and escaped with Karrde aboard the Millennium Falcon. Meanwhile, Solo and Calrissian had found their lead. They headed to the planet of Pantalomin, where they located Captain Hoffner aboard a luxury cruiser, the Coral Vanda. Hoffner had supplied Iblis with the Katana dreadnoughts, and had also been part of the crew with Karrde that found the ships. But they would never meet, as it was not only Calrissian who had identified Iblis's cruisers correctly, but Thrawn had as well, hence why he too was searching for the fleet, and had already tasked a subordinate, Niles Ferrier, to find Iblis's supplier, and he was able to delay Solo long enough for the Chimera, which promptly arrived at Pantalomin, to capture Captain Hoffner, forcing Solo to retreat. Hoffner soon relented, and with both sides having the location, it was a matter of who would arrive first. A conference was called about the matter, with the heads of state in attendance, including Leia Organa, who had just returned from Nogri, having convinced the assassins to side with the Republic after exposing the damage the Empire was inflicting on their home planet. Mon Mothma assigned the duty to salvage the Kitana fleet to Councillor Fey'lya, who was skeptical of the information. Nevertheless, he went out to search for the fleet as ordered, though he dragged his heels in doing so. Knowing they had little time, Solo, Skywalker, Chewbacca and Calrissian took Rogue Squadron and a handful of technicians and hurried to the location, where they found several dreadnoughts. Having decided to board one of the dreadnoughts to appraise their condition, they headed to the bridge, discovering that they had boarded the Kitana itself, the flagship of the fleet. No sooner had they done this did a Nebulon B frigate enter the system. Fey'lya had arrived aboard the Quenfis, accompanied by Karrde and Leia Organa, and sent a comm to the Kitana, informing them they were under arrest and demanding they surrender, overriding Mon Mothma's order. Solo rejected the arrest order, stating that they were both trying to accomplish the same task, but Fey'lya would not relent, as he suspected Solo of trying to use the ships to make a ploy for political power on Akbar's behalf. Their near fight was only averted with the arrival of an Imperial Star Destroyer with its TIE Fighter wings approaching fast. It was the Judicator, helmed by Captain Brande, who immediately ordered the TIEs to engage and cover the dropships heading for the Kitana. Solo's team prepared to fight, firing a salvo from the Kitana, which destroyed several dropships at the cost of frying the gun's capacitors. The Quenfis was poised to join the fight, but Fey'lya ordered the ship to turn about and retreat. Leia was appalled by this order, demanding he help Solo. In response, Fey'lya held her at gunpoint. Seeing that something had to be done, Karrde tricked the Bothan by turning on the ship's comms and inciting Fey'lya to tell Leia that no cost of life was too great to risk his political career, as the ship held some of his supporters on board as well. With this, the crew of the Quenfis turned on Fey'lya, placing Leia in command. Thus, the Quenfis joined the fight, dispatching Gold Squadron, which helped to check the Imperial advance. Meanwhile, on board the Kitana, Solo's team desperately hung on as waves of stormtroopers flooded the ship, slowly pushing them back, albeit suffering mounting losses on their own end. This stalemate was broken with the arrival of Karrde's smuggler fleet from behind the Judicator, led by Mara in her Z-95 Headhunter, putting immense pressure on the Imperial flagship, enough that Captain Brande had to dispatch all his TIE bombers to support the fighters. Up until this point, the Republic had intended to save Solo's team and flee, never expecting to be able to stand up to the Judicator. This changed with the arrival of Garm Bel Iblis aboard the Peregrine, accompanied by his fleet, having answered the call of Solo. Although the rest of the rebel force was now convinced of victory, Karrde suggested to Leia that their priority should still be to rescue Solo's team and leave. Leia was incredulous at this, saying that they couldn't just leave the Kitana fleet to the Empire, but Karrde had her turn to the recent data from the scanners, which thus far no one bothered to look at. Out of the 200 ships that made up the Kitana fleet, only 15 remained. Thrawn had arrived first and already got the majority of the fleet, and the Judicator was just acting as a screen. The Republic's situation worsened with the arrival of a second Star Destroyer, the Peremptory, sending the smugglers' ships into disarray, with Mara herself getting knocked out of the fight by a stray shot. Solo's team barricaded themselves in the bridge, whilst Skywalker ripped a hole outside of it, causing the chamber to decompress and killing their pursuers. Though their situation seemed hopeless now, Solo came up with a plan. With the aid of Calrissian, he was able to get the slave circuitry system working, and was able to take control of one of the remaining dreadnoughts, which they steered into the path of the Peremptory, causing a collision which the Peremptory tried to avoid, destroying both ships. Seeing that the battle could no longer be sustained, Brende ordered the remaining TIEs to the ship and departed, leaving what was left to the rebels. Though they won, much like at Sluis Van, this came at a reprehensible price. Thrawn had made off with the majority of the dreadnoughts, and worse still for the rebels, upon gathering the bodies, they discovered that Thrawn was using clones. This boded ill for the Republic, as the clones had demonstrated their effectiveness in the Clone Wars. This meant that Thrawn could easily crew his newly acquired ships. The Empire they believed was at death's door, the foe they believed was as good as dead, was now back. The Empire was not done yet. Thrawn's master plan will continue to unfold in the next episode of this series. To make sure you don't miss that, subscribe and press the bell button. Please consider liking and sharing, as it helps immensely, and don't forget to comment. We will try to read and respond to every comment, as we want to know what you think about this video and which videos you hope to see in the future. This is the Wizards and Warriors channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.